Welcome, and thank you for your interest in the Summit Avenue Regional Trail Plan project. This video will provide a brief overview of a proposed regional trail facility for Summit Avenue. Summit Avenue is a broad scenic parkway reflecting Victorian-era architecture, large boulevards, and central median green spaces. It is a corridor that moves many people and modes for both recreation and transportation each day. Since the fall of 2021, the City of St. Paul Parks and Recreation Department has been working on a plan shaped by community priorities that outlines a proposed regional trail facility along Summit Avenue. This trail connection across the city would be part of the regional park system as a direct east-west connection between the Mississippi Gorge Regional Park and the Sam Morgan Regional Trail via Summit Avenue and downtown St. Paul. The purpose of the project is to address aging infrastructure, long-range plans, and improve the user experience to provide recreational and alternative transportation access to all people, ages, and abilities. Addressing infrastructure needs is critical. Many segments of Summit Avenue roadway have not been reconstructed since the 1930s, almost 100 years ago. Over time, roadways need to be reconstructed to replace aging infrastructure. This includes underground utilities, base materials, sidewalks, curb and gutter, and lighting. The most cost-effective opportunities to add pedestrian and bicycle improvements come when roads are being fully redesigned. As the city plans for future long-term roadway reconstruction, understanding what pedestrian and bicycle facilities need to be within a corridor is an important design consideration. This project brings together advanced planning efforts. An important parkway in the city, Summit Avenue, is identified as a regional trail search corridor in the Metropolitan Council's 2040 Regional Parks Policy Plan. Development of a trail plan document is a next step in creating a regional parks facility that aligns and achieves the goals set in the 2040 Regional Parks Policy Plan. And certainly a central piece critical to the use along Summit Avenue is to improve that user experience. Not all people bicycling are alike. Bicyclists generally span a range of those that are interested but concerned to those that are highly confident riders. Pedestrians and bicyclists are our most vulnerable roadway users and the most at risk when involved with motor vehicle-related collisions. The existing on-street bicycle lanes do not provide physical separation between bicyclists and vehicles. The lanes position bicyclists between on-street parking and the travel lane. While this condition may be preferred and acceptable for some, it impacts users' perception of safety for many others, limiting access for less confident bicyclists. The existing on-street condition creates potential conflict between modes. Examples of potential conflicts include car movement across painted bike lanes, door swings from parked vehicles, and snow and ice accumulation between parking and travel lanes. According to MnDOT, interested but concerned bicyclists account for 51 to 56% of the total population. This is a group that is more cautious and prefer low traffic stress environments and tend to ride for recreation. Creating a separated trail facility that supports this type of user can meet the need of a wide variety of users and maximize the potential for more people to bicycle for both recreation and transportation. The corridor is divided into segments to help illustrate the various rights-of-way and median changes that exist along Summit. The proposed trail alignment balances a variety of needs and interests in the corridor and generates a separated facility that can accommodate the many users of this multimodal corridor. How is this trail plan different than the existing conditions? There is an existing on-street bikeway on Summit Avenue. It is home to some of the oldest bicycle lanes in the city. On-street lanes function well for some, however, many interested but concerned riders do not feel comfortable riding on the streets adjacent to faster vehicle traffic. Proposed regional trail would follow a similar one-way style alignment, but moves the trail to position riders directly adjacent to the boulevard and separated from the roadway above the curb. At Kellogg Boulevard, the trail would become a two-way facility and follow the Capital City Bikeway and Eagle Parkway trails. Trail conditions shown here reflect a one-way trail treadway and a buffer space for maintenance and safety clearance. In areas where recommended trail widths are not feasible, the treadway would narrow and the buffer would become the same surface as the trail. How will the trail design impact trees? It is important to understand that trees are an essential part of what makes Summit Avenue a signature parkway in the landscape in the city. Trees are high priorities for preservation as part of this trail plan. A landscape designed in the late 1800s, mature trees along the avenue create a linear park, shade public sidewalks, median open spaces where people go for recreation. Seen here is an example of the regional trail west of Lexington, where the trail treadway is separated from parking by a vegetative buffer. The existing curb line is close to the existing location in the roadway. This image here shows a design between the existing curbs in segment B, where there are two medians. It follows a similar alignment to what exists now, but elevates the trail 6 inches above the roadway behind the curb. The image seen here is east of Lexington, where again, the design falls between the curbs of the roadway and positions the bicyclist between the boulevard and the driving or parking lane. Trees are an integral part of the proposed design and park-like experience of 7th Avenue. Roadway and trail construction carries risk to it to existing vegetation. This risk is highly variable depending on specific site conditions, health of individual trees, and the tree species themselves. The nature of the proposed regional trail would limit impacts to trees by utilizing the existing roadway envelope as much as possible. In other words, limit the tree impacts by redesigning from curb to curb. How will the trail design impact parking? Citywide planning and policies generally do not prioritize on-street parking and is under for single occupancy vehicles. Parking counts conducted reflect on-street parking is underutilized corridor-wide. The trail plan would look to reduce on-street parking options by about 50% east of Lexington and reallocate space for a regional trail facility. Parking on street is generally planned to remain. However, selective removal would be necessary for emergency vehicles and to maintain open sightlines for all users west of Lexington. 7th Avenue presents a wide array of opportunities and challenges when it comes to evaluating the corridor for a regional trail facility. The plan document outlines a framework for future projects to advance decision-making that reflects priorities identified by community members as part of engagement. The timeline shown here represents the work from October 21 until now. The project is at 90% draft, and the regional trail plan draft is available for public comment online at engagesaintpaul.org/summit. This will be available during the month of February. I encourage you to visit, review the plan, and provide comments on Engage St. Paul. The final plan is anticipated to be complete in March, and it will begin approval processes through the Parks and Recreation and Transportation Commissions. And it will move to City Council and lastly to Metropolitan Council. If the Summit Avenue Regional Trail Plan is approved, the city would work towards securing funding for design and engineering and a long-term phased construction process. Thank you for taking the time to review this. We hope you'll consider reviewing the plan online and sharing the comments with us at the city. Thank you.